all the participants to fourth day's session of this FDP. Yesterday's session was very productive. We were able to gain ample information about speaker recognition using different models. We curiously look forward to today's session. I cordially welcome Dr. Anil Kumar to commence the session.
Yeah, thank you. So in this today's session, first let me share the screen. Yeah, can you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir. It is visible, sir. Sir, it is visible, sir.
Yeah, okay. So in today's session, we'll talk on what are the different features which we can extract usually from speech signal and in application to emotion recognition. So we have one more session left tomorrow. In that session, I will talk on what are the current research topics in speech, what people are working across the world, and also I will try to mention few tips for research, okay, if time permits. And in today's session is more oriented towards, because last two sessions we emphasized on how neural networks become popular, and we had demonstrated that application of the neural networks using speaker recognition. Today again we'll come back and focus more on speech feature extraction, and next tomorrow session again will be kind of generic session on research as well as speech research in particular. So from speech signal, we usually extract features. Three features are famous. Means three categories of features are famous. Those are called source features, system features, and prosodic features. But among all three, the most popular one is a system feature, and any application we can build with this. But these features also acts as a complementary. Sometimes we can combine them and increase the performance of the system. But otherwise, system features are what usually we use. That whatever null frequency capsular quotients, what we mentioned in the last session, that is comes under system features. But in this session, you will get a clarity on what is source feature, what is system feature, what is prosodic feature, and also why system feature become popular, why not source and prosody also will be touched upon. So this along with the features will focus more towards emotion recognition. And this is one of the hot topic. Some work is going on now from last 10 years. A lot of emphasis is going on for this emotion systems. The reason behind is that emotion is so natural, and system should understand emotion also. For example, you have Google Assistant or Alexa. If it works only when you are talking very normally or neutral way only, then you can't call it as assistant. Because to get attention of your manual assistant, you usually shout on them, or you'll try to tell in a more emphasized way. Okay, and if you tell like that, and if you speak like that, and your assistant system like Google Assistant and Alexa is not able to understand, then those are not natural. Okay, and all the time you may not give the commands in a neutral and normal manner. So emotions also is very important for making the systems more natural. Okay, so so basically in emotion, the main emotion processing, if you see in general, there are two important aspects. One is like emotion classification. That means if you give a speech signal, how classifying the emotion, it has a lot of applications. We'll see that in the next slide. And emotion synthesis. Emotion synthesis means if you give a text, can we generate the speech in an emotive way? For example, I want to tell a story to my kids. Let us say I have text form of that story. I want to generate the speech and tell. let us say if you generate a speech like railway announcement, or you're like a Google Maps navigation, they won't get interest, because in those modules or in those applications, emotion is missing. But for storytelling, emotion is pretty important. So now some work is happening on emotional synthesis also. Okay, but this presentation is more focused on emotion recognition. So emotion recognition has a lot of application. As we said, it will become a natural and sophisticated human-machine interface. And also we can use, so a lot of fake calls are coming to call center application, and 108, can we detect that fake calls based on the emotion present in the speech? If somebody is in really emotion, their speech will be different from normal person. Can we detect that? And there is a lot of work going on shout speech detection. That is very important in emergency. Let us say put a sensor, and if something happening and somebody is shouting, if it alerts the corresponding person like security or fire station or police station, then it is useful. So shout detection, also a lot of work is going on in that. And also there is some work like infant cry detection is also going on. And that why infant is crying, is it because of some problem or hungry or something like that. So that sensor will be always with infant, and whenever you are not around infant, and based on their cry, it may sense you, it may give a message to you. So, and also for developing realistic speech systems and storytelling. Okay, so many applications are there for emotional processing, and lot of now a lot of work is happening that how to automatically rate the call center conversations. So in call centers, let's say I took an employee for call center, my call center complaint handling, and to analyze her performance, I can't listen all the calls. So can automatically some system will rate the conversation, okay, and whether my person is speaking politely or they are speaking angrily like that. So that that will help us to speed up the evaluation process. So many applications are there, but we'll also see, it is not a very easy task to do, because classification of emotions, there are different categories. There are so many categories of emotions, but if you take basic categories are neutral, happy, anger, and sad, along with that disgust, and there are so many other emotions are there. Some at least another 5-6 emotions are there. So how to categorize them, and also let us say what features I should use from the signal, so that I can capture those emotions. And more importantly, to build any system, database is very key. But what sort of database we have to collect to build that system? So collecting the speech data is not easy, because if somebody is naturally expressing their emotion, we can't capture that data because of this privacy issue. And if somebody you ask to express the emotion, they may not express naturally. And more importantly, every human being expression of emotion is, strictly speaking, every human being expression of emotion is different. All people won't express in the same way. Sometimes it is cultural specific. Some cultures will have some some way of expressing the emotion, and also person specifics, more importantly. And also some express emotions in a mild way, some express in a full blown way. So this is database is very tricky. If you database are there, we do collected at IIT Kharagpur one database. I will tell those details. Similarly, we there is some other available like German database, and other a few databases are available to work on this emotion thing. And yeah, what sort of models we can use to build this system is also an issue. So in this presentation, we'll talk on source, system, and trustworthy features. I will come back to that. What are those features? Coming to the database, what used in this study, we collected this database in Vijayawada, All India radio station. There we took 10 artists. This is data collected in around 2007. Yeah, 7, 8, 8, I think 2008. Yeah, we collected this by using 10 speakers. In that 5 male and 5 female artists we have chosen. And we gave some 15 Telugu sentences, which are linguistically balanced. That means there is no emotion in that. Like నేను నా దేశంను ప్రేమించుచున్నాను, something like that. There is no emotional words or emotional abusing words or happy words. They are not there. They are phonetically balanced, linguistically balanced, emotionless sentences. And we ask them to record for 10 times in different emotions, anger, compassion, disgust, fear, happy, neutral, sarcastic, surprise. In these emotions we ask them to record each 15, each of them have to speak these 15 sentences in 10 different sessions, because every person within the person also, every time you may not speak in the same way when you ask to speak like anger or something. But anyway, these are artists, so they are expressing in a proper way. We are expecting that they are expressing in a proper way. And to capture the session variations, we have took it from 10 sessions. So we have total 15 sentences, 10 speakers, 10 sessions, and 8 emotions. So total around 12,000 sentences we collected. So here the thing is that text, let us say if we take one example of one sentence, we have a sentence, same sentence from the same speaker, we have the things in different emotions. So whatever the variations of features we extract and see, those are because of emotion only. Because speaker is same, text is same, then it should be more or less similar. That feature should not be more distinguished, so more different. So if they are different means they are based on because of the emotion. Okay. So to realize that, we collected this data. And coming to the excitation source information, the basically excitation source means for speech production there are let me open another link. Okay. For speech production, there is something called speech production mechanism. In the first session we have seen, okay, speech is by exciting your vocal tract system, or vocal tract system with the uniform impulse or random noise, that is called excitation source. If you excite a vocal tract system, then speech will come out. So now what we have is a speech. Okay, what we have is a speech, but we want to separate excitation and vocal tract, because vocal tract is what is changing for every sound to sound and from every speaker to speaker, like that. But excitation source is usually same for all voiced and unvoiced speech. So we want to separate, like we have a milk, we got a milk now with pure milk and water. Now we want a technique to separate them, because whatever speech we are getting, if you understand, I also told speech production can be modeled as a linear time invariant system. And speech S of n, you can be assumed as a convolution of vocal tract and excitation, but we want to separate vocal tract and excitation. For that, one of the famous technique is called linear prediction analysis. What is that linear prediction analysis? Is that as speech has some quasi-stationarity and some kind of periodicity within the short duration. So what we'll do is that we'll take some 20 millisecond frame, that small frame, not for, we don't apply LP analysis for the entire speech signal. We'll take only a small segment of LP, linear prediction, small segment of speech signal and apply linear prediction analysis. And so what linear prediction analysis says is that we can predict the current sample by using linear weighted sum of previous P samples. We can predict the current sample by using linear weighted sum of previous P samples. So I can, we assume like that, usually we assume 8 to 10 samples. So that P value will be 8 to 10 samples. So current sample I can predict by using previous P samples and linear weighted sum. So if you simplify that, okay, sorry, this is S cap of n and this is S of n is the actual value. That error E of n, that is the S of n minus S cap of n, that is the predicted value. Okay, that is the error. That is the what usually the residual signal is called. This is E of n is called residual signal. So if you see the block diagram here, take the speech signal and pass it to the inverse filtering, then you will get the residual E of n, LP residual filter. At the same time, if you take the same E of n and take the one by this thing, that is the H of Z, you take H of Z and then you will get the speech signal. If you take the reverse also, E of n and vocal tract system H of Z, then you will get the speech signal. Now we are doing inverse filtering, because we got speech, from that we want to separate excitation. So to separate the excitation, the famous technique is linear prediction analysis, and the error in that linear prediction analysis. Okay, error is nothing but S of n minus S cap of n. This S of n, this E of n will represent your residual signal. So any features related to your excitation source or source related features, we usually source related features we usually extract from LP residual. So you can see here linear prediction residual, or there is something called glottal volume velocity signal, GVV signal. But most importantly, the all excitation source features will extract from LP residual signal. Okay. So there are famous features like epoch location, strength of excitation, and features like that. So for example, you take here, these are different excitation parameters, don't worry on that. So if you take, yeah, this is the linear prediction analysis, what we just seen in that slides, sorry, in that link, virtual lab link. This E of n is S of n minus S cap of n is called excitation 1. And so you see here, this is one small segment of speech, and this is for different emotions from the same speaker, same sound. Same speaker, same sound. You can see the excitation is different, right? So it should have been more or less similar, but it is completely looks different signals, because even the speaker is same and sound is same. So here it indicates that this LP residual, the residual signal, is also carrying some features of emotion. So they use that LP residual or features extracted from LP residual for detection of emotion, Here there is one more thing called, there is something called in a speech signal epoch location, or it is also called instant of significant excitation. That is nothing but we talked about pitch, right? Rate of vocal fold vibration is called pitch. Whenever that vocal folds close and open, okay, open, the air flows like a impulse. So those are called glottal closure instants or epoch locations. Okay, so these also will carry some emotion specific information, because we can say whenever your anger, the strength of excitation or the closing or opening changes quickly, and whenever you are speaking a sad way, they may change slowly in like that. So that epoch related features also will contribute to the emotion. So that all comes under excitation source features. So by taking that IIT Kharagpur database, and there is a freely available database from EMODB, that German database. So these two, if you take and apply different excitation features, we are getting something around 50%. Okay, it's not that great, but it's okay that we are getting something around 50% by using these features. Later we used vocal track features and system features, which are so famous for all applications of speech. So for every 20 milliseconds with the 10 millisecond overlap, we can extract features like linear prediction quotients, Mel frequency capsule quotients, and perceptual linear prediction quotients. Okay, so they represent your system. And here what the small change here done is that what we have done is that instead of features extracting from entire speech signal, we extracted features from entire speech signal, and only in vowel region, and only in the consonant region, and only in the consonant vowel region. So speech segment is first divided into these regions and seen which regions are more prominent for carrying the emotion specific information. And also we done something called pitch synchronous approach. Pitch synchronous approach means usually we'll take window size of 20 milliseconds, right? Instead of taking 20 milliseconds, we'll take exactly 2 to 3 pitch cycles. That is based on these epoch locations. We'll find the epoch locations first and take some 2-3 epoch location as your frame size and shift by 1 epoch location. Then your frames are pitch synchronized. That means you are not taking random frames. You are taking frames which are synchronized with the pitch. So that is already existing. So that also explored for, otherwise these are all normal features, vocal track system features. So vocal tract system usually also expressed in terms of formants. So you can see it's the same speaker, same sound. So, but your formant locations, okay, these peak locations are called formants. Okay, this is nothing but LP spectrum, LP spectrum, linear prediction spectrum. And if you see in that, if same speaker, same sound, because of emotion, your peaks are got disturbed. So your system feature also may contribute to emotion recognition. So these are locations to identify the oval region. We can skip this. So different experiments are carried out by taking linear prediction coefficients, MFCC features, and adding those formant features to it, and such like that, and pitch synchronous approach as well. And we got percentage around 6, maximum around 68, 70, like that. Okay, so they are better than excitation source features. And more importantly now, another important features for, especially for emotion recognition, is the prosody features. Prosody features are nothing but long-term features. Earlier in segmental features, that vocal tract features, we extract features from every 20 milliseconds, frames. Like excitation is further small. We can take only 5 millisecond frame, find the epoch locations and features around that. But these prosody features are long-term features. You take more than 100 milliseconds or entire sentence to extract these features. Actually, these prosody features are what human being uses a lot, you know, for understanding the emotion. Prosody features in general, there are 3 features, prosody features. Those are called duration, energy, and pitch contour. Okay, for any understanding of speech also, they play very important role. For human being, he uses mainly these prosodic cues, that energy variations. Let us say whenever you are telling some kind of shouting manner or a high energy manner, then they think that you are in anger, emotion, or something like that. Whenever you tend to speak fastly and loudly, then also people feel that you are anger. And whenever you are speaking with low energy and slowly, then people think that something happened, you are not, something is there. So this prosodic cues human brain uses a lot. What are the prosody features? Duration, energy, and pitch contour. Duration means duration of the sentence or duration of the words, like that. That means speaking rate. Energy is nothing but the amplitude, like time level amplitudes. Square of that, sum of the square of that will come energy. And pitch means focal fold vibration. So whenever you are anger, they vibrate fastly. Whenever you are normal mode, they will normally vibrate. And whenever you are sad or something, then they may vibrate slowly. So these are very important cues. But unfortunately, for system, for depending on these features is very different. Why you may ask why? Because human brain is talented enough that it can understand these cues. But you see, let us say energy you want to use as a feature. Okay, somebody has high energy, you tell that they are anger, okay, for example. But energy is other variations also will affect the energy. That some people naturally speak loudly. Somebody speaks in somebody usually speaks in a low volume. Somebody speaks in with high volume. So how to put a threshold? If energy is more than something, then it is anger or something. We can't put threshold. And also, for example, you put a microphone close to your mouth, then energy captured will be different. And if you keep little bit away, the energy captured is different. So this energy has a lot of natural variations. So keeping a threshold or using it as a feature is difficult. Similarly, pitch. We have seen in the first session also, the pitch of female is more than male, and pitch of children is more than female. Then that means all humans don't have same pitch range. So pitch is also has a lot of natural variation. So if I have high pitch, I can say anger or something. But how can I say what is high pitch? It depends on person to person. So those features also different. But human brain trains automatically. That is God gifted us. But this machine training using these features are very difficult, because extracting those features are also very difficult. For example, duration. How to extract the duration of the word? Let us say somebody says words are fast, then speaking rate is fast, and they may be anger. But how to found those boundaries from the speech signal? That is not easy. And more importantly, this duration also has a lot of natural variation. Some people, I can admit that I speak usually fastly, okay, but few people will speak slowly. That is their natural way of communication, and some speaks very fastly, some speaks moderately. So already duration has its own variations, and how can we say that duration is more than he is sad, or duration is less he is anger? Human being understands that, but using them as a features is difficult actually. So, but what I'm trying to say is these prosodic features or long-term features are very important for a human being understanding of emotion. But we can also build systems around that using these features, but they are not reliable and they will lead to less accuracy because of the natural variations present in those features. Hope you got the point. Okay, this is how that energy contour will look like. Okay. So in this work, we extracted features of this duration, energy, and pitch at different levels, at the local level, at the global level. That means entire sentence, one set of features. Set of features means what is the mean, maximum, and standard deviation of each, like duration, energy, and pitch at the utterance level. At the utterance means that the whole sentence level, or at the local level. That means at the word level or syllable level, like that. Okay, so duration is n by f, and pitch is rate of vocal fold vibration, and energy is nothing but sum of your amplitude squares. Okay, so don't worry about that. So we done at features at the utterance level, word level, and syllable level. Syllable means less than a word. Combination of phonemes will make syllable. Combination of syllables will make word. Combination of words will make sentence or utterance. Okay, phonemic is a basic sound unit. Combination of phonemes is syllable. Combination of syllables is word. Combination of word is called sentence. Okay, you can see these features are extracted at different and also we divided the sentence into three parts: initial part, middle part, and end part, final part. Because one more point we need to emphasize here is that emotion is non-natural. Emotion is natural actually, fine, but emotion is a non-sustainable thing for human being. Whenever I am angry also, I'll come back to neutral and I will go to anger again, because in one emotion I can't speak for a long time because it is not sustainable. Okay, so we have to come back to normal and go. So that's why usually whenever you are speaking something, a sentence, if you are anger, usually that reflects more in the initial part of the sentence, and again you will come back to normal. Again you may go back to emotion. Okay, so that's why we divided the sentence into initial part, middle part, and final part, and then see which parts are giving the better accuracy for emotion recognition. So we found these by extracting features at the global level, local level, combining all of that, we are getting around some 60-65% accuracy. So then we done that these three features are complementary, right? One is by using excitation source, and other is by using vocal track system, and another one is using prosodic features. So we also combined all these three features. Best systems. So source best system is giving around 54, system best system is giving around 70, and prosody is giving around 65. So this tried that source plus system, how much it is giving, prosody plus system, how much, if you combine all of them, how much, like that. But these numbers has no meaning because these numbers will change if you change the database, but it will give you the trend, what sort of trend they will follow, and what maximum accuracy we can get, or what is a better feature out of these three. If you see out of three, definitely system features are better. But having said that, excitation and prosody are not that bad. They are also giving on par with system. So if you combine all of them as they are complementary to each other, so we are getting a better accuracy for emotion recognition. So in summary, what I'm trying to tell is that most of the speech systems like speech recognition, speaker recognition, language identification, most of them will use only system related features, the vocal track system, which like MFCC. But some works are there on excitation and prosody, but they are not very prominent or game changers for other systems. But this excitation and prosody is pretty important for emotion recognition particularly, because emotion will also influence on these features. So these features are proposed for emotion recognition. And afterwards, a lot of variants of this prosody are tried for emotion recognition. Prosody in general also very important for any other system, also like speech recognition, speaker like that. But this, as I said earlier, these prosody features are very difficult to extract and very difficult to understand. So not in a, very difficult to normalize because they have a lot of natural variations. Okay. So yesterday somebody asked what are the different features we can extract from speech. Hope you got some idea today. So what we can do now is that we can again go back and go back and see how to build this emotion recognition system also. Just like speaker recognition system, we can also build this emotion recognition system. We've taken data from EMODB and we have some four emotions: anger, happy, neutral, and sad. And each emotion will have some files. Usually what we need to do here in this kind of systems is that speaker should be separate. The data what we are using, let us say we are using anger, happy, neutral, and sad. Let us say I have 10 speakers data. I should use only some 6-7 speakers for training and other speakers for testing, because we should not use some part of all 10 speakers for training, some other part for testing. Then then accuracies will come high, and that will become speaker dependent emotion recognition. But what we generally want is speaker independent, because we train system with some emotion with some speakers. Tomorrow anybody speaks, system should be able to understand the emotion. So we should build a speaker independent emotion recognition system. So some data we take it as training data, some data we take it as testing data, and we made sure that speakers are different in this and in this. Similar to your earlier system like Gaussian mixture model. And more importantly, here one thing to say is that whatever the advancements happen in speaker recognition, language recognition, or emotion recognition, usually they are same, because they are all simple classification problem. Unlike speech recognition and text-to-speech synthesis, those are the main systems of speech. Those require some text processing knowledge and all those things. For them, models are different. For these classification tasks, the evaluation of the models or the baseline systems are more or less same. So similar to what we discussed in the speaker recognition, we can also use Gaussian mixture models here and DNNs like that. So let me show you similar systems, whatever we demonstrated for speaker recognition yesterday. We can use the same systems for emotion as well. So you can see here in IPython, in the browser it opens, and you can see this is the database. From that we have collected some data for training and testing, and our codes are here. I think GMM and DNN. Last time, yesterday, we collected data for each speaker, some 10 files. Some of them we used it for training and some of them used it for testing. Here we are doing little bit different. We are doing here emotion recognition. So we taken data from, let us say, some 10 speakers and combine some 8 speakers data for training, some 2-3 speakers data for testing. So maybe modeling things may be different, but training data and organization is different. So as we said earlier, here the Gaussian mixture model, we have only one parameter to vary, that is number of mixtures, that is number of Gaussians. So we can see a restart and run. Otherwise, except data change, all the every program is same, like what we demonstrated for yesterday, that speaker recognition. This model is getting training. Yeah. Yeah, one younger model is getting trained now. Younger features got extracted, and that is model is getting trained. And next one, another emotion will come. Happy is coming now. Happy modeling is happening. You can see those outputs here. Okay, training got completed, and then testing is going on. Done. Yeah, you can see the percentage. The again confusion matrix. We have 26 files for anger and 21 files for neutral and 20 files for sad and happy as 18 files. So you can see how they got recognized, and this is a confusion matrix, and accuracy is around 80. Yeah, you can change the number of mixtures here again, and see, for example, you give 32 mixtures and see what is the accuracy. Yeah, we can see now with 32 mixtures, system is built. We got around 81%. There's slight improvement because we have, compared to speaker recognition, we have only 8 files, but here we have more data. So increasing the mixtures is increasing the accuracy. So we can even see what happens if you give it 64 mixtures. now system, because 64 mixtures are there, it takes more time to build your system, because 64 mixtures need to be trained. So training got completed. You can see, yeah, 32 mixtures have slightly improved the performance, but 64 mixtures has reduced the performance because we don't have enough number of features to train. Similar system we can also build using neural network. Here we can use different model parameters. What are the model parameters I used? Yeah, here these are the model parameters. Here in module 4 we have written. So what is the number of hidden layers we can use, number of hidden layers, okay, and the batch size, like that. So let us see with these set of numbers what is the percentage you are getting, and we can keep on changing those numbers and adjust and fine tune hyperparameters to get the better accuracy. So here we got utterance level accuracy of around 70%. So we can fine tune these parameters and get a better accuracy for emotion recognition. Here, to conclude this session, let me spend 5-10 minutes on what are the pros and cons of different modeling techniques. I don't have slides for that, but I can explain my with my experience that we have. Hello? Yeah. So we have something like Can you unmute the participants? Can someone unmute the participants? So there are different machine learning models are there, like Gaussian mixture models, hidden Markov models, support vector machine, and neural networks. So each of them have their own.
తర్వాత ఉండేది ఆడ కొట్టారు ఆడ పడితే ఎలా అవుతున్నారా
So can you unmute? Some of them are speaking. Can you please unmute some? Yeah. So there are different machine learning models are there, like Gaussian mixture models, hidden Markov models, neural networks, support vector machine. So many other modeling techniques are also there, but don't use them blindly because each model has their own advantages and disadvantages. Let me tell you my experience. If number of data points are less, okay, your amount of data is less, then don't use neural networks because neural networks need more data to give better performance. For example, you are taking some set of cases where data collection is very difficult. It's not that you don't have data, it's problem data itself collection is difficult. For example, medical related data or something like that, then we may still use the conventional machine learning models like Gaussian mixture models or Navi Bayes or like that, or support vector machines. And amount of data is more, then only go for neural networks. And if you want to capture the sequential information present in the features, please use hidden Markov models as a conventional approach, or recurrent neural network as the neural network approach. And if your problem demands discriminative learning, that means you want to classify positive versus negative, the advantage is that support vector machines are good for that. Support vector machines will try to draw a line between positive and negative. In that way, if data points are less also, they can able to discriminate the positive and negative class. That is the advantage of support vector machine. So in that way, each machine learning approach has their own pros and cons. Then that's why you should know what is that model, when we should use them, particular model, and then what we can do is that whenever you get a bad result or good result, you can able to explain. Otherwise it will be like a lab record, like I took this data and I applied to this model, it gave this performance. Then there is no intuition, or there is nothing like why that performance is low or high. Please, whenever before using any AI technique or even neural networks or even different types of neural networks, please understand the pros and cons, and most importantly, always focus on your problem. You should focus on problem that what is your problem, how you want to solve that problem, what are the things I should consider to solve my problem. Okay, accordingly, problem should demand the solution, but unfortunately nowadays, I have some solution I want to apply on that problem. That should not happen actually. Okay, always give emphasis to problem. Okay, solution will come later. Okay, first our emphasis is that what is my problem and what is that problem demands. Accordingly, we should give the solution. Then we can explain in the form of paper or thesis well. Okay, so with this I'm concluding today's session. Tomorrow I'll talk more on what are the current topics in speech and machine learning, and few general insights about how to do good research work. Any questions? Participants, any questions? You can type in the chat board like yesterday. Yeah, tell me. Yeah. We can't use CNN for prosodic features because the number of prosodic features what we get from sentence is very less number of features. So whenever the features are less, you can't use neural networks. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Okay. Anybody else have any questions?
Sir, one more question is there in the chat box, sir. Anil, sir.
Yeah, can we increase the hidden layer numbers as many as we want? Yeah, we can increase the number of guests in our home as long as you can feed them. We got the answer. Okay. You can use many hidden layers provided you can give the enough you have enough training, and also there is something called gradient descent problem. If input is going to different hidden layers, it may and also error propagating to different back to different layers, then it may vanishes. So gradient vanishing problem will be there. So we have to address those issues. Accordingly, we can increase the number of hidden layers.
Okay, sir. Can we close the session?
Yeah.
Ashwati, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you very much, sir, for such a magnificent presentation about the 3 important features which help us to recognize emotion from speech. And also for all your suggestions to emphasize on the problem first. Later comes the solution. We would also like to express our thanks to all the participants for their enormous support. We also look forward to meeting you all in the virtual summit tomorrow. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.